World War II was an era of immense innovation, and some weapons were so weird they sound made up. But here are 5 truly obscure weapons from World War II and why they almost worked. Number 5. America's bomb-guiding animals. In one of the stranger experiments, American scientists tried to use cats to guide bombs to enemy ships. The logic? Cats hate water, so strap one onto a bomb and it'll instinctively steer toward the dry safety of a ship. The experiment failed as cats lost consciousness during the bomb's fall. However, another animal-inspired project, Project Pigeon, was more successful. Psychologists trained pigeons to peck at a target on a screen which would correct the bomb's trajectory in real time. It worked surprisingly well, but military brass couldn't take it seriously. Imagine the briefing. "Sir, we're letting the pigeons drive." Number 4. Soviet anti-tank dogs. The Soviets trained dogs with bombs strapped to them to crawl under enemy tanks. At first, the dogs were trained to drop the bombs in return, but too many of the dogs returned with the bombs. So they simplified. The bombs were rigged to explode on contact. But on the battlefield, things went wrong. The dogs were used to Soviet tanks, so some ran under the wrong vehicles. Others panicked and ran home. At number 3, Nazis' vortex and wind cannons. The Nazis were desperate to defend against Allied bombers, and someone had the bright idea to weaponize the air itself. The vortex gun launched explosive shells into the sky to create air pressure shifts, basically trying to cause mini tornadoes. Although lab tests looked promising, in reality, it didn't work. Another invention was a wind cannon, which fired explosive blasts of compressed air. It could break boards at 200 meters. But Allied bombers were a different story. Number 2. Japan's death ray. Starting in the 1920s, researchers around the world made a concerted effort to develop an invisible beam of energy that could be lethal to a person. In the 1930s, Japan launched their own death ray. Researchers built a 20-centimeter magnetron capable of producing a 100-kilowatt beam, powerful enough to kill a rabbit at 1,000 yards if you waited 5 minutes. It never made it to the battlefield, but for a moment, Japan seriously pursued a real-life sci-fi superweapon. At number 1, Britain's blinding tank light. It was called the CDL, the Canal Defense Light, a boring name for a weapon designed to blind and confuse enemy troops. It was mounted inside a tank turret, and the CDL was a powerful 13 million candle power searchlight that flashed rapidly, up to twice a second. In addition to the strobe light, colored filters could be added, creating even more confusion and making the tanks appear farther away. But here's the kicker. It was so secret, most commanders didn't know how to use it. So these high-tech tanks ended up guarding bridges as fancy flashlights. Desperate times lead to some downright strange measures. Most of the weapons flopped, but they showed just how far nations would go in the pursuit of victory and how weird war can get. If you'd like more forgotten wartime inventions, subscribe to CAF Media TV and join us next time for another deep dive into aviation history and military tech.